Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sid Gandhi. I am the CEO and co-founder of Polybase Labs. We're the creators of Payy. You may have seen that. Today, I want to talk about something maybe a little bit different than the other topics here. This is less about kind of maybe educating you guys about something or describing how we're all going to get super rich. It's really about like a small mindset shift that I think would really benefit the industry and benefit all of us. So people, products, and protocols. I think about these three things a lot every single day. But what I've noticed is that in our industry, and a lot of really smart people that I know, they kind of believe and act as if people are less than products, and products are less than protocols. And protocols are kind of the holy grail and create value and are the things that we should be focusing on. And while I'm not arguing that they're not important, I want to kind of create a mindset shift in how these three things relate to each other that might be a little bit different than what we implicitly believe today. So what is the result of this kind of what I believe is like a flipped focus on just protocols is that our impact on the real world has been extremely limited. There's some cases to be said that people have made wealth in different countries around the world, or even been able to save their money. But to be honest, that impact and what its potential has been extremely limited so far. And that focus on protocols has given us something really, really amazing, which is cryptographically verifiable money. For the first time in humanity, that's absolutely amazing. But on the other side, a lot of people around the world, maybe even the majority of people that know about crypto, even in passing, kind of still see it as like a grift or casino. And luckily, that's changing slowly over time, but it's still the case with a lot of people that I talk to. Fields like AI, robotics, biotech, et cetera, they've never actually had to deal with this problem, which is kind of funny. They implicitly and explicitly provably improve humanity. And so they've never had to fight against this kind of belief that it's like a negative for humanity, the way that crypto sometimes has to. I recently saw this talk between Patrick Collison from Stripe and Johnny Ive. If you've seen that interview, it just came out a couple days ago, or a week ago. Johnny's actually gotten kind of chubby, which is funny. He doesn't look like that anymore. He's still bald. But he said something that's really, really interesting that I want to say here today. He said, what we make stands testament to who we are. And he follows that up by saying, what we make describes our values. It describes succinctly and beautifully what our preoccupations are, those thoughts between the thoughts. And the reason I really like this is it's really easy to think that we're doing something really great or that someone else is doing something really great, but it's also important to reflect on who that person is and what exactly their building says about them. And I've started doing this, and it's been really powerful. So today, we view people as less than products, less than protocols. I believe we should view people as greater than products, as greater than protocols. Very, very simple mindset shift, but it changes a lot. And the rest of this talk is really kind of my story and the story of Payy and how we've gone through this mindset shift and what result that's had. So let's talk about people first. The most important thing we realize is we have to go out there and talk to people. I'll give you a couple stories. So when the war in Ukraine started, I had a friend who has a grandma in Russia. And he used to send her money every month to pay for things like rent and groceries. And all of a sudden, he couldn't do that anymore. That's tremendously difficult. That story, this was like a couple years ago now, still impacts me and still makes me kind of like get really upset because it's unfair. It's unfair to him, it's unfair to his grandma, and it's just unfair in general that people go through these kind of problems. I spent 3 weeks in Buenos Aires last year in December. It was great. New York winter sucked, as you all know. It was like 80 degrees every day in Buenos Aires. that's besides the point. I talked to over 100 people, and I heard stories like in 2001, the Argentine government froze withdrawals from people's savings accounts for 2 years. A lot of people lost their life savings because by the time they unfroze it, they forced devalued everyone's savings by 75% or 60-something percent. So it was tremendously detrimental to people's lives. Actually, I've been talking to my Uber drivers and my DoorDashers recently. Just quick conversations, but I found that they go through a lot of fees, scams, freezes, account suspensions when they're trying to send money back home. This would be like countries like Nigeria or countries in South America like Colombia or Philippines or Bangladesh. And these stories are really upsetting because I think for a lot of us, money is actually quite easy today. Even though we're really into crypto, we still have our bank accounts and use our credit cards and we get those points. We can get mortgages and car loans and student loans pretty easily. And for a lot of people around the world, that's not the case. So this was what grounds me. This is what I think about every day. I think about these people and I think about those problems. I've kind of become like a kleptomaniac for these financial horror stories. I was literally on the 6 train here today, and someone was telling me, someone was asking me directions because 6 train decided to skip like 5 stations, which it does all the time. So we're standing there on the platform. She commented on my jacket. We got to talking, and she ended up telling me a financial horror story that she had, where she was actually paying for a child's education in India. When she had gone and traveled, she met this family, and she continued to pay for their education. But it was extremely difficult, and every time she used a different app or a different service, there would be some inevitable problem because they needed to get the money out in cash, and that was actually quite difficult. And so these stories are all around us. I think in the last couple of years, I've heard hundreds of stories like this, and I think that hits me at an emotional core and makes me excited to build products to solve these people's problems. As I talked about a little bit earlier, what me and my team are building is called Payy. At a very high level, it's really simple. It's a wallet that lets you store stablecoins and transact with those stablecoins privately. But under the hood, we're building a really powerful set of features and systems that goes much deeper than that. And our kind of vision is to be able to replace consumer and commercial banking by building it fully on-chain with stablecoins. And there's some really obvious things that need to be done. And while people have been working on this problem for maybe 10, 15 years, Ripple comes to mind. As great as Ripple is and as good as they are with like lobbying, they haven't really solved the problem. And so fundamentally, this requires privacy, but done in a compliant way. Not in an anarchist way. It requires user experience. And by that, I don't mean like gas abstraction. I mean, no one knows it's crypto underneath and they're using like a Chase Bank-like app, except they can send money anywhere and there's no restrictions and no limits and no freezes. And then the third thing is to be able to solve the problem end to end. And I think in crypto, because of this focus on protocols, we have this idea that like everyone can build this piecemeal part of the solution. And somehow, because of composability, it's all going to come together. In some cases, it does, and it's beautiful. And then in most cases, for most people around the world, it really hasn't come together yet. So Payy fundamentally allows people to save, spend, and grow their money in a non-custodial way without friction or fear. Some of that friction comes from UX, some of it comes from not understanding the terminology that we use, for having unfamiliar workflows. A lot of the fear today in fintech comes from deplatforming, from debanking. Not as much as a problem here in the US, but actually is quite rampant in other countries. And if we just talk about friction for a second, I just want to mention one small example. I don't want to talk too much about Payy, but one thing that we do and that we figured out in Payy how to do is make everything super, super simple. And so something that takes maybe, I think 50 taps in MetaMask. I'm using the worst example here, I understand. But just to prove the point, we can do in 6 taps in Pay. And that's the simplest primitive, which is sending money. And so I'm actually going to prove that to you here. And you can count the steps with me. So I think this will autoplay. So we're hitting send. OK, it won't autoplay. So we're just going to go through the send flow here. So you hit send. That's 2. Next, that's 3. Link, that's 4. We're creating a ZK proof for the UTXO transaction. So it takes like 2 seconds, 2 seconds for networking. This is 5, and that's 6. And I sent money. And this isn't like sending money like I sent a transaction. This is sending money end to end to another person that they can access right now. The link is an ephemeral wallet, already has the cash. So as soon as they have the link, they actually have the value. So yeah, that was 6 taps. And it looks really simple, and the concept is really simple. And obviously, this is the first thing we ever did with Bitcoin, send Bitcoin. But the amount of effort and kind of craftsmanship and painstaking like re-engineering of everything from the ground up that we've had to do to make this that easy as well as private is tremendous. I would love to talk more about it, but I'm not going to get into those details right now. The other things I kind of talked about were debanking or lost keys when it comes to crypto wallets. That does not happen on Pay. We haven't shipped this yet, but we're building this. We're building the most advanced Guardian or social recovery or key sharding system that we've ever seen or ever encountered. It uses existing primitives, nothing crazy here, but it's really the end-to-end UX and effort that we've built here. You basically can add multiple guardians. This is people or trusted entities. So for example, backing up to iCloud or backing up to Google Drive would be 2 entities if you trust them. You can add people by using a link. All you have to do is send the link to that person, and their Pay wallet, which means their private key on their device, becomes one of your guardians. How do you bring it all together? We're building this really cool thing where if you bring all the phones together in the same location and everyone face IDs, then you can reassemble the key and reset it. So things like this that just like are really, really easy for anyone in the world to think about and reason about and do without having to understand about how any of this works. Okay, so how have we pulled this off? So what we did is we vertically integrated almost everything in the crypto stack, all the way from people to protocol. So we built the wallet interface that you saw there as a non-custodial wallet. We built a network called Payy Network that allows you to do UTXO transactions, but the data is actually stored privately on the device and you only publish proofs. We also built fiat ramp integration directly into Payy Network. We also built direct to Visa authentication. So we haven't really like fully launched this, but a few people know. We did a partnership with Visa. When you swipe or tap a Visa card, it's actually going to directly auth directly on Payy Network. And we do a lot of things to lock things, prevent double spending, things like that. And it's fully ledgered there. And we have also built like the gas abstraction. We've also built the economics of the protocol in a way that this is going to be something that's scalable and something that is sustainable over time. And so, yeah, we really kind of believe about this, that like being able to solve the problem end to end for a person so they can actually solve their problem in their daily life. So really the cycle is like this simple. Talk to people, solve their problem, enhance the protocol. Right? We're still accruing value to the protocol, but we make sure the first thing we do is we talk to people and we solve a problem. And over time, this is making Payy Network and the protocol that we're building more and more powerful. By the time we release it publicly for others to use, I believe it's going to be the most end-to-end robust stablecoin payments chain. It's going to have fiat ramps directly integrated, which means you don't have to go and sign an agreement with any fiat ramp provider around the world. You don't have to do that MoonPay integration again, pay them a bunch of money. Most of our ramps are completely free. We don't take any additional charges on top other than what kind of the TradFi side takes. We're going to have the visa integration as well. We're going to have all of the privacy stuff, all the programmability stuff for people to use out of the box. And so that's going to be really, really powerful once we open this up later. All of this to say, really the takeaway here is that I hope that we can build protocols that serve people instead of the other way around. Thank you.